tarde,
Good afternoon,
todos e todas.
everyone.
Sejam bem-vindos
Welcome
aqui ao
to
IABS TV.
the IABS TV.
Estamos aqui na
We're
abertura do
here for the
Seminário de
opening
Integração
ceremony for
das
the
Pesquisas
Seminar
do
for
PRS
Research Integration
Cerrado,
of PRS
evento
Cerrado,
realizado pelo
an event
Instituto Brasileiro
organized
de
by the Brazilian
Desenvolvimento
Institute for Sustainable
e
Development,
Sustentabilidade.
for Development and Sustainability.
E meu nome é Lucas
And my name
Borelli,
is Lucas
serei o mestre de
Borelli. I will
cerimônia
be
desse
the
evento.
Master of Ceremonies of our
Gostaria
event
de
today, and I would
agradecer
like to thank
aos parceiros institucionais
our institutional partners
desse
of
projeto
this
PRS
project
Cerrado,
of PRS Cerrado,
com o qual
um,
não seria possível estar
which would not be
realizando
possible to
todas
be
as
duly
atividades
organized,
que
and all
vocês
of its
podem estar
activities would not have been
acompanhando nas redes
possible for you
sociais
that you've seen thus far in our
do
social media
PRS Cerrado.
accounts with
Gostaria
respect to
primeiramente
PRS
de
Cerrado.
agradecer ao
First of all, I
Ministério da
would like to
Agricultura, Pecuária e
thank the Ministry of
Abastecimento, o
Agriculture,
MAPA,
Livestock and
o Banco
Supply,
Interamericano de
MAPA, the
Desenvolvimento, BID,
Inter-American Development
o
Bank,
governo do Reino
IBD,
Unido,
the
a
UK
rede
government,
ILPF
the
e a
ILPF
Empresa
network,
Brasileira de
and
Pesquisa e
Embrapa,
Agropecuária,
the
Embrapa.
Brazilian company for
O
research,
Seminário de Integração
for
da Pesquisa
agriculture
tem como
research. So
principais
the
objetivos
purpose
apresentar as
today is
metas
to
relevantes,
um, present the
diferenciais, a
relevant and
contribuição da
leading targets for the
sociedade
contribution
e
of
as
society
soluções
and the
para o problema
solutions
central
for the central
de cada
issue
pesquisa,
of each
além de
of
promover a
such researches,
integração entre
aside
as
from
pesquisas
promoting integration
selecionáveis e
between
do
the
edital de
targeted
pesquisa e
researches
desenvolvimento.
and the bid for
Este é um
the
seminário
notice for research and
importantíssimo para o
development.
debate
This is a
científico
leading
sobre a
seminar for
agricultura de baixa
scientific
emissão de carbono e outros
scientific
temas
debate for low
importantes
carbon
para o
science and other
desenvolvimento
key issues
sustentável do
for
Cerrado.
sustainable development of the Cerrado.
A abertura do
And
seminário
the
terá
opening
a
of
tradução
this seminar
simultânea em
includes
inglês. Então, se
simultaneous
você
translation into
precisa
English.
acompanhar
So
o
if you
idioma
do need
inglês,
to hear this in
clique na
English, go
descrição
ahead
do
and click
vídeo
on
e
the
você
description of
poderá
our video
também
today, and you will
estar
also have
acompanhando
access
em inglês.
to the seminar
Também
in
teremos a
English.
lista de
We
presença, então
also
não
have
deixe
an
de
attendance list,
preencher
so make sure you sign
e de
the
acompanhar
attendance list, and
todas as atividades do
so
PRS
that
Cerrado pelas
they
nossas
can see
redes
all of our
sociais,
activities related to
Instagram,
PRS Cerrado
YouTube
across our
e
different social media
Facebook.
accounts in
Se
Facebook,
você
Instagram, and
curtiu esse
YouTube.
evento,
If you like this
compartilhe
event,
com
make sure you share
colegas
it with your
profissionais,
friends, colleagues,
pesquisadores,
with other
agricultores,
researchers, with brewer
estudantes,
producers, students,
pois estará disponível
farmers,
aqui no nosso
as it will
canal.
be available
Para
at our
iniciar o
channel on
nosso
YouTube. So
seminário,
in order to begin our
teremos a
seminar
nossa
today,
mesa de abertura
we have
institucional
our opening
e teremos a
institutional
honra aqui de
roundtable, and we
chamar
have a great
a
honor of
ministra
bringing in the
Contato da
Minister of
Agricultura, Pecuária e
Agriculture, Livestock,
Abastecimento,
and Supply of
senhora
Brazil,
Tereza
Ms.
Cristina,
Teresa
para
Cristina.
fazer a fala de
She
abertura
will
do
offer
nosso
us
seminário
the
de
opening
integração da pesquisa.
remarks for our
Senhora
research
Tereza
integration seminar.
Cristina,
So,
seja
Ms.
bem-vinda.
Teresa Cristina, welcome, and please, the floor is yours. It's a great pleasure to be part of this initiative, though remotely or virtually, of the opening of Research Integration Seminar of the researchers selected for this program, which is financed by the UK government in order to support Brazilian agriculture with leading players such as IBD, IBS, and Embrapa. So today is our opportunity to see the different projects that were chosen, the research projects that were selected. 13 million reais were invested into these researches for low carbon agriculture in Brazil to be increasingly more competitive. And this is Brazilian agriculture moved by science. So
Obrigado,
greetings to you all.
senhora Tereza
Thank you so
Cristina,
much,
nossa
Minister Teresa
ministra de Estado da
Cristina,
Agricultura, Pecuária e
our Minister for
Abastecimento. É
Agriculture,
uma
Livestock,
honra
and Supply. It's
ter
an
a voz da
honor
senhora
to have you
nesta,
opening our
nesse nosso
seminar today
seminário de integração da pesquisa.
for
E para
research
dar
integration.
sequência a
And
essa mesa
moving
de
forward
abertura,
with our
gostaria de
opening
chamar
roundtable, I
o
would like to
secretário
call in
adjunto de
the
Inovação,
Deputy Secretary for
Desenvolvimento
Innovation,
Sustentável
Sustainable
e
Development,
Irrigação do
and
Ministério da
Irrigation of the
Agricultura,
Brazilian
o
Ministry of
MAPA,
Agriculture,
o
Livestock, and
senhor
Supply,
Kleber Oliveira
Mr. Kleber
Soares.
de Oliveira
Seja bem-vindo,
Soares. So
Kleber, à nossa
welcome,
mesa de
Kleber,
abertura do
to
Seminário de
our
Integração
opening
da Pesquisa
roundtable
do
for a research
PRS
integration
Cerrado.
seminar of PRS Cerrado. Hello, Lucas. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to first, on behalf of the Minister of Teresa Cristina and Secretary Fernando Camargo, and also Marlene Crispolini, our director. I would like to greet our key partners and players, Mr. Morgan Doyle, who's one of our leading partners here. He's a representative of IBD in Brazil, and I would like to also greet the Embassy of the United Kingdom, our partner here, Richard, and the president of IABS, Tadeu Asadi. And anyway, greet everyone who's here with us today. So it's a great honor to be part of this event and this seminar, whose purpose is to discuss not only the integration of the research projects arising out from the Sustainable Rural Projects Initiative, in this specifically of PRS Cerrado, because of course there are other initiatives with the support and funding coming from the UK government, focused on sustainable development in the leading territories and regions and productive regions of Brazil. And for us, it's definitely a reason to take on great pride to be here today when we will get to see the results of the different practical actions of the projects of science, technology, and innovation, whose purpose is to offer and promote leading initiatives within the scope of the Sustainable Rural Development Project, whose main purpose is the sustainable development of our Cerrado bio.
De promover
iniciativa,
fomentar, estimular.
We're constantly supporting and promoting initiatives will allow for the development of Brazilian livestock in general, especially amidst this scenario, Mr. Morgan, when the whole world is running two different races, right? Of course, the world is trying to develop low carbon technologies, and agriculture is definitely a great area for this. And the other race that we're all on is to the development of initiatives whose purpose is to supply the world with the needed energy demand, right? And this is directly related to this. It's very close in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, because we have just completed our first cycle of the ABC program, and our minister has recently announced the leading partnerships with PRS Cerrado. So in short, this new cycle, we expect to see a significant support from the PRS project to implement by 2030 at least 78 million more low carbon agricultural systems, including degraded recovery of degraded areas. I see Renato Rodrigues here, and he's one of the experts in this matter. So the greetings to Renato as well. And we're also going to cover the intensive livestock farming, and especially of waste in agricultural production, and again, the leading issues of decarbonizing livestock with the different inputs and irrigation systems in general. And we have taken a bold step yet again, and under the leadership of Ministry de Cristina, and with the support of PRS Cerrado, for Brazil to contribute towards the mitigation of over 1 giga of energy of carbon equivalents. I'm sure that this program and the support that PRS Cerrado has received and has invested into science technology projects, we are definitely offering amazing guidance, and we're definitely on the right path and working hand in hand with our great leading partners and players to make sure we impact decarbonizing agriculture towards the benefit of Brazil and the world. I would like to thank the invite, and may we all continue working together. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kleber Oliveira Soares, the Deputy Secretary for Innovation, Sustainable Development, and Irrigation of the Brazilian Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, and Supply. Thank you for your opening remarks. Now, moving forward, I would like to call in the Head of Research and Development of Embrapa, of the Brazilian Research Institute for Agriculture and Livestock, Mr. Guy de Capdeville. Please welcome and to our roundtable, to our opening roundtable, and please take the floor. Thank you so much, Lucas. I would like to greet the fellow members of our roundtable. First of all, the IABS team, Mr. Morgan Doyle of IBD, and who's a huge player and partner in these projects and in this initiative. I would also like to greet the Deputy Secretary Kleber Soares for MAPA, my friend and colleague Mariana Crispolini. She's a partner in several initiatives, as Kleber has just mentioned, and everyone else who's joining us today. I've seen here also Renato Rodrigues, who's definitely a huge partner of Embrapa within the scope of ILPF. I would like to apologize for being delayed. We were part of I was at a board meeting and there was a minor issue that because people thought the event was going to be held tomorrow. So I would like to apologize for actually being late and for this minor mistake, but we definitely believe this initiative is absolutely key. This is a very important project and it's tied to several other initiatives that us at Embrapa, together with the Ministry of Agriculture and IABS, have furthered. And as Secretary Kleber has recently mentioned, there are several initiatives connected to ABSC Plus. And so Embrapa has started, including with the Ministry of Agriculture and other partners, to standardize concepts and methodologies connected to the issue of sustainability, the issue of carbon emissions. Brazil has definitely been very aggressive and has taken several commitments at COP. And there are several challenges ahead of us. There are tied to the sustainability that Brazil has long been taking different initiatives in this regard, but we have definitely been strengthening this. And at this point, we have taken several actions and measures. Mariane, we have, of course, been tracing after time to manage to put our large size projects into practice, to find the necessary funding coming from different players and partners, because we believe the issue of sustainability is the soul of Brazilian agribusiness and the soul of what Embrapa does, together with, of course, all of its partners, because our idea and purpose is to show the world how sustainable is our agricultural production and to make progress with these issues within the scope of the Cerrado, which will also advance into other challenging areas that we've come across in our country, especially in Brazil's Northeast, whereby it becomes key to have an initiative such as this one, so that at this point, when we focus on these integrated projects, but of course we have to think in the long term, right? For us to continue to have these initiatives so that we can actually strengthen ever the more the work that we do to promote sustainability and livestock production within the scope of these different environments. Which are addressed through these different projects. So I definitely want this event to be absolutely successful. I'm sorry once again for my delay, but please count on Embrapa. Embrapa will always be a partner and will partner with all of you for us to continue together to overcome the challenges that we know that are hard, but we definitely, we're making progress with respect to the world, thanks to the knowledge that we have, thanks to the efforts we've made of all of these people that are part of this group of people that really are making the difference for the purposes of agriculture production worldwide. So greetings to all of you, and may this be very successful. Thank you so much, Mr. Guy de Capdeville, Head of Innovation at Embrapa. Thank you for your inspiring words, and do not worry. Nobody even realized that you were late. You're on time. So, and you joined us beautifully with these kind words and remarks. So, for us to move forward with our research integration seminar. So, moving along with our institutional and opening roundtable, I would like to call in the representative of the IVD, Mr. Morgan Doyle. And please welcome Mr. Morgan. Thank you so much, Lucas. Well, first of all, I would like to thank the partners with the Ministry of Agriculture. And I would like to greet Minister Teresa Cristina, and as well as the Deputy Secretary of Innovation, Sustainable Development and Irrigation of MAPA, Mr. Kleber Soares, and also the Head of Innovation of Embrapa, Mr. Guy de Capdeville, who is also definitely one of our key players in the recent past. And I would like to thank the UK government that, thanks via IBD, has allowed for this cooperation to happen in such a key project. And yes, I would definitely like to greet the head for climate and green development of the British government in Brazil, Mr. Richard Rideout, and all the other authorities that have partnered with us for this event, such as IABS and ILPF network that have joined us here today. So I'm very happy to be here to talk about the Rural Sustainable Project and how important the impact of the project effects have, right? So for you to have an idea, the project has arrived at over 250 cities, working together in hand with local rural producers to implement low carbon technologies. So as has been beautifully mentioned by those who have taken the floor before us. So the target is nothing other than to help to bring technical knowledge to small and medium-sized producers so that they are able to produce more and at the same time preserve the natural resources. So I would like to once again talk about this target of reducing carbon emissions, which is one of the pillars of our activities by 2025. At the IBD, we work with the governments across different industries and sectors to help render everything resilient in terms of climate change and also to reduce deforestation and mitigate emissions. In relation to Brazil and in relation to Sustainable Roads Project, IBD has renewed its focus on climate changes to promote sustainable economic growth. And in order to do so, we come from the perspective with our different partners and who will also share our same perspective that values technology, digital technologies in agriculture. We also try to promote efficiency in the production of low carbon technologies to improve the economic support tools for the producer and decreasing deforestation thanks to the use of these technologies. What makes us really exciting about this process or the project is that because we mobilize applied science and therefore further innovation and we decrease greenhouse emissions. So the purposes of this research will definitely bring in long-term effects as will add value to national production, increase productivity, increase competitiveness of low-carbon agriculture, and definitely we will see the effects on the end as well. So it's a great honor for the IBD to promote and participate of this event that brings in so many different researches that will bring ever the more innovation for the industry and the sector. So the partnership that we're celebrating with you reveals the great capacity Brazil has to be a biodiversity powerhouse and agricultural powerhouse without sacrificing the environment and the climate. So rural sustainable development projects clearly reveals a possible way for us to move over at a large scale. So innovating at the rural areas, allowing for this will allow for less degradation and more income for our producers. With this definitely something very exciting for all of us. I have no doubts that this will also serve as inspiration for other projects that we have in Latin America. So I would like to thank you all for joining us today, especially the Ministry and the head of Embrapa and our colleagues from the Brazilian Ministry of Agriculture, and reaffirming our historical partnership of over 40 years with Embrapa, as a matter of fact. And our first project with Embrapa dates back to 1977. And so it's definitely one of our key partners. So I would like to give the floor back to you, Lucas, and really thank your presence and the invites. And I hope you all have a great event. Thank you so much, Mr. Morgan, representative IBD in Brazil, for your inspiring opening remarks at our roundtable. And now, as we move forward with our research integration seminar, I would like to bring in the head of climate and green development of the British government, Mr. Richard Rideout. Sorry, Richard, for the mispronouncing. Thank you so much, Lucas. Richard Rideout. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm learning Portuguese, but I'm going to try to speak Portuguese. So, good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone. And as we kick off this seminar for research integration of PRS Cerrado, I would like to greet the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Ms. Teresa Cristina, and on her behalf, I would like to greet all of the authorities that have joined us virtually today. I would also like to greet all of our partners of the United Kingdom in the past years, such as Embrapa, IBD, IABS, and ILPF network. And also our researchers and rural producers. And it's a great pleasure to be part of this meeting when we'll be able to reflect on one of the key elements of relations between Brazil and the United Kingdom. The growth of sustainable development at the environmental level and economic level of agriculture and rural producers. So at this point, to celebrate the Sustainable Rural Project of Cerrado is to put research and development on the hands of the actors of change and leading players and leading actors of production in the fields. So they are the ones, so the researchers or the managers of public policy, government officials, government authorities, and the members of agencies and rural producers. I'm very much impressed by the quality and the impact of our initiatives, our joint initiatives, such as the dedication of 12 million, investment of 12 million reais and benefiting over 500 researchers
de ensino.
and in different teaching institutions. There are also 30,000 rural producers to increase their productivity thanks to the new technologies of the ABC Plus plan. When he visited Embrapa Cerrado in August 2021, the president of COP26, Alex Chama, was quite impressed with what Brazilian agriculture can contribute to increase global knowledge. I'm sorry, to global heating up to 1.6 degrees Celsius. And so research is definitely key for future solutions. And Brazil needs to, must be acknowledged and recognized for that. So the impression that Embrapa Cerrado leaves us, so the impression that he had by Embrapa during the negotiations in Glasgow and in the pursuit of new solutions for other countries. So for this, I would like to thank Embrapa, MAPA, and
Então, gostaria de
and I would also like to thank and encourage, and I want to share the results and the knowledge that is produced within this scope with other biomes and other countries. And within the scope of ABC Plus, and the leading role Brazil has played in COP26 in Glasgow, we would really like to acknowledge your adhesion to the World Map report, for the fact dialogues, forest, agriculture, and commodities. sorry,
para desenvolver
to
cadeias
develop
produtivas mais
supply chains which
resilientes,
are more resilient,
maximizando
production chains that are more resilient,
transparência,
maximizing transparency
o apoio aos
and
pequenos produtores
supports
e
to
o
small
acesso
farmers,
a mercados
as well
mais
as to access
sustentáveis.
to more sustainable markets.
Nós continuaremos a
We will
ver o Brasil
continue
como país
to treat Brazil
prioritário.
as a priority
E
country.
isso
And,
refletido nos nossos
and this
compromissos,
reflects in our
no
commitments
incentivo
and to the incentives for agribusiness and international trade to promote productivity of agriculture as a feasibility of as an economic feasibility factor, as a priority feasibility factor. In the understanding of or vision of in the perspective of agribusiness, no one is more concerned with sustainability than the rural producer, right, or the farmer, because they are aware that their income or their living and the value of their land comes from the continuity of their production. In other words, listening to the production, the productivity potential of the land is in the best interest of the rural producer, of the farmer. And of course, the agriculture and livestock production in Brazil receives the added value coming from a sustainability certificate on its products. We will continue making progress or furthering the different platforms that we've worked on thus far and which were consolidated in the commitments made by Brazil at COP26. And we want to make sure that leading cooperations are highlighted and celebrated. I hope that everyone really benefits from this seminar and that we're able to discuss different opportunities that brings us closer. You are all very important for the success of the work that we do. So do count on our partnership. Thank you so much. And sorry for my Portuguese. Thank you so much, Richard, Head of Climate and Green Development of the British government. It was amazing. I mean, your Portuguese is amazing. I understand. I understood perfectly. I'm sure that the rural producers and the researchers and the students and everyone's interested in low carbon technology, agriculture, definitely understood you as well. So thank you so much for closing our opening roundtable of our research integration seminar. So, moving forward with our event, I would like to thank everyone. Thank everyone who has joined us here today for this opening ceremony. Thank you ever so much, especially because the research integration seminar of the Sustainable Rural Project of Cerrado is just beginning. We still have another 2 days ahead of us with our researchers, right? So we will definitely continue with these conversations. Now I would like to offer the floor. We're actually going to have a technical roundtable for the researchers, right? With on the importance of international cooperation for public policies on sustainability within Brazilian agriculture. So I would like to offer the floor and to join us in this roundtable, and I will call them one by one, right? So the first is Ms. Mariane Crispolini, Head of Sustainable Production and Irrigation at the Ministry of Agriculture. We also have welcoming Mr. Luis Tadeu Assad, who's the General Director of the project and President Director of IABS. There's also Renato Rodrigues, who's the Scientific Coordinator of the project of Sustainable Rural Project Cerrado. And we're also being joined by the head of research of our project, Ms. Marcela Vidal. So I would like to welcome these four people to be part of our roundtable now and to, in order to kick off this roundtable about the importance of international cooperation for the public policies on sustainable agriculture, I would like to bring in Ms. Mariane Crispolini from MAPA. Welcome. Lucas, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to plagiarize you a little bit, Mr. Morgan, because you said you were very happy. At my end, I am too. I'm very glad to be part of such an important seminar for a project. And I believe, I mean, it's cooperation is definitely key for Brazil to be able to achieve its targets in terms of growth of low carbon agriculture and livestock. And as Richard has also mentioned, our targets and our global targets and commitments in terms of climate change. And I would like to first mention Brazil's track record. Like I would like to go to the past so as to see a few of the key learnings. So back in the 1970s, Brazil was an importer of food. We used to import beans, which is such a part of our basket, right? And what really caused us to move over? It was science, right? So, I mean, we have to speak about science in a research integration seminar and the importance of Embrapa and the key role it played in the 1970s, as well as of our federal universities and different research institutes in this sense. And a recent example that certainly shows the science-based livestock is corn, right, and maize. I come from a time when we used to say that corn is lost. So any corn coming from the second harvest was just a minor part of our production. It accounted for 20 or 30% of our corn production. Nowadays, the second harvest corn accounts for over 70% of our production. So how do we manage to do that? Thanks to the production systems, through the different production of more adapted varieties and genetic selection. So when we talk about low carbon agriculture, we have to mention, for instance, the indirect plantation when we manage to offer greater resilience for our agriculture and livestock. So we maintained a solid, more wet for a longer period of time. And of course, we desequestrate carbon in so doing. And coming to a closer period in terms of cooperation, Brazil pioneered, and Richard mentioned this, and I have to mention this too, and I have to thank this and thank everyone who was involved with the ABC plan, which was the first phase of ABC Plus plan from 2010 to 2020. So as I speak now, I remember the different names. So the different coordinations of my department, of the climate change department, the different Embrapa teams, and so on and so forth. But when I first joined the Ministry of Agriculture, I remember Assaji saying, Mariane, 2010, Brazil had such strong science. We already had the technologies to to really set up a great national public policy. We had a target back in 2010 to adopt technologies in 35 million hectares. And now in 2020, thanks to a lot of research, thanks to monitoring and the different areas and adopting new technologies, including by satellites, we are up to 52 million hectares. And now thanks to the partnership, including with the UK government, this is twice the area of the UK. So, and then this project of, as our secretary has already mentioned, there are other biomes across Brazil, not only Cerrado, but in phase one of the project and now in phase two, they were key. And so international technical cooperation is one of the instruments that we have to accelerate the implementation of these technologies. And as Richard mentioned, the great key of technical and international cooperation is that when Brazilian rural producers, who is a key in leading actor in this, when they receive the right incentives, they adopt the technology. So when technical cooperation brings in technical supports and assistance, we have a seminar next week on the 14th on the training program for rural producers. We have thousands of people who will be trained thanks to our technologies. This is key for Brazilian states. And I would like to reinforce and thank the UK government for their partnership. Richard, you also mentioned that Brazil is a priority. I had the chance to go to COP 26 with head of with the Beta with the she's the head of your Ministry of the Environment. And one of the things we mentioned, and I was glad to hear when she said out to me and Secretary Fernanda, is that he wanted for other international projects we're doing so well as our projects. And this made me quite happy. And we actually joked around with her and we said, you know, phase 1 went well, phase 2 is doing well, and definitely the UK will play a key role for the phase 3 of the real project. So we're definitely looking into the future when we say this. So we have reviewed our public policy, and now it's ABC plus. And why plus? Because there are key challenges that require cooperation. So our new target is 72 million hectares. We've brought in new technologies when compared to the phase 1, and such as for livestock raising, using new technologies and the combination to remove livestock away during drive and when they emit carbon emissions without nutrition, without the appropriate nutrition strategies to make sure that the systems are irrigated. And within the scope of our innovation in the office, we look at carbon, soil, and water, right? So when we conserve the soil, is that we manage to conserve water as well. So I'm happy to see how rural producers have incorporated this too. At IABD, at different technical courses in the field, we really focus and make sure producers adopt these low carbon technologies and look into the natural resources. Now, on Sunday, December 5th, we had the World Soil Day, and when the ministry, we have other public policies such as Agro Waters and Pronasolo, and we're very open for a public consultation, a national grading plan. So what is the success of this plan? We have 50 million hectares, and we have additionals of over 72 million hectares to go. And this is all thanks to science. Brazilian agriculture is moved by science, and this is the great strategy of the Brazilian state for the next upcoming years. And when it comes especially in terms to research, we have a certain trajectory, and we count on you, we count on our researchers. It would be great if we could have more researchers benefited by our program, because you are key players. If we're here today and we have to look into the future, because there are technologies that are still to be developed to make sure we manage to disruption to happen. As Richard said, we could welcome Alex Shaman, and here we welcomed him in Brazil in August, and he recorded a video that he posted on his own Twitter about the fact that Brazil has to bring these technologies into other countries as well. So I would like to thank the Swiss Rural Project and the integrated communication, and especially our assistants, the International Relations Office. I'm happy to share that thanks to the partnership with this program, we are about to upload ABC Plus in Arabic, ABC Plus in French, ABC Plus in Spanish, and we also have it in English, which is already available at our website. And very shortly next week, in one of our training events and in the upcoming weeks, our communications team will work on the issue of ABC Plus in other languages. And this is our commitment as the Brazilian state, much like the UK government has helped us disseminate and spread out our technologies and invest in technical support, training, and research. Definitely is our responsibility as a country, because we already have the technology and such a key public policy that can be spread out to other countries. So without further ado, ABC Plus has been made available in other languages. I would like to thank our assistants, Priscila Mozart, our assistant in agriculture in Argentina, Cesar, who translated into Arabic, Elena, who translated into French, and which will already be available at our MAPA website. So cooperation is definitely one of our key challenges. I would like to thank my team as well, and the Innovation Office, Kleber, Ministry, Teresa Cristina, who supports us to support low carbon agriculture, Cesar Medeiros and Thelma, who help us with our international cooperation projects, the general coordination led by Fabiana Alves, who has addressed this matter in the past 12 years, and our other partners, the UK government, Embrapa, RVL, LPF network, which has been key to further our efforts to IBD, and specifically not only in the person of the boards and Mr. Morgan, but also the different consultants. Um, our team has largely worked with the IBD consultants, so it's not easy for us to achieve these targets, and we have been able to do so thanks to international cooperation. So together, we will tackle these future challenges to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, ensure food security with resilient agriculture. Mariane, thank you so much for your inspiring remarks. And research integration seminar, I mean, we'll definitely see how the researchers will continue follow this line or this pathway towards ABC plus. So thank you, Mariane. So moving forward with our roundtable on a more technical perspective, well, on more technical roundtable of our research integration seminar, I would like to bring in on a institutional presentation of Sustainable Rural Project Cerrado and other contributions, Tadeu Assad. I'm not going to say Mr. Tadeu Assad, but even though I have great admiration and respect, and I learned so much from him all the time, as he's the general director of PRS Cerrado, and he's also the head and president of IABS. So please, Tadeu, take the floor. Thank you so much, Lucas, for calling, and also for calling Mr. Asadi again. But anyway, so I would like to thank. It's a great honor for us to be here in such a key environment, in such a key arrangement, as is the case of Sustainable Rural Project Cerrado. And I would like to thank our minister, Teresa Cristina, for being with us today, as well as Kleber and Guy de Capville. We were together at COP, and it was absolutely important. And to thank for the opportunity that IBD and UK, the governments in the persons of Mr. Doyle and Mr. Ridout have offered, and to be, with me as the head of this project, which is not only important in terms of its issue, but also the organization of public policies and different actions that are definitely structuring and can be used as models and examples, not only for Brazilian biomes, but in other countries as well. So I would also like to thank Mariane for her inspiring words and this connection that we have, and to understand why a project of this scope is being performed. It has financing that works with climate changes, and it has global targets, and it will be materialized based on research, based on training programs, based on field work and different actions. And they materialize in the form of the rural producers and farmers that really need this kind of guidance, right? In order to become sustainable and to make sure that they guarantee their own living, and also to evolve and improve in their process and contribute towards this global challenge. I would also like to thank Renato and Marcela, who will take the floor after me. And I would also like to thank the team and Lucas. But I mean, definitely, there's a huge team behind every event of PRS that we are definitely doing with so much care. And of course, in terms of research, I would like to thank Embrapa and the several different institutions. Renato and Marcela will discuss this. There are several institutions that are here with this mission to generate knowledge, development, and innovation, both for the Sustainable Rural Project of the Cerrado, but definitely in terms of a legacy for the future. I have a quick presentation. I'm not sure if you're ready to share the screen, so please, and I will continue talking here. So please move on to the next slide. So the arrangement of this project, we have donations coming in from the UK government. The beneficiary is the Brazilian ministry. The organizer is IBD, and IBS is one executor of the activities, and scientific coordination is ILPF, Regi, and Embrapa. which offers the basis and the grounds for the projects to be executed. In addition to the institutions, there are several other directly involved institutions, such as the different research institutions, the institutions that will support the field work, and the different technical support institutions. So we have a very strong infrastructure and framework looking at key results in terms of this map issues. So the key targets and objectives are reducing the GHG emissions in the rural environment, in the pursuit of more sustainable agriculture with good practices, so that these good practices are able to fight illegal deforestation, recover degraded areas, and increase productivity, but also with the challenge of bringing all these objectives together by also improving the income and sustainability of rural producers who are directly related to this. So moving to the next slide, here are some of the numbers when we teams, I mean, in terms of figures, our project is along the different states of Brazil, Mato Grosso do Sul, Goiás, and Minas Gerais, approximately 101 cities. We're actually looking into the possibility of increasing the number of cities. We currently have connected to this project 42 different social production organizations. This was a key strategy of our project to make sure sustainability was part of all of these actions. So make sure that all our actions are promoted by cooperatives and organizations. We have 170 demonstrative units and over 3,000 multiplying units, which are the units that will actually implement these technologies. And we have the challenge of hitting 4,000 properties. We currently have over 350 hectares of land directly involved in the initiative, and that we want them to implement the different technologies and to improve their practices and to be ever the more sustainable, in addition to several other actions. For example, we're referring to numbers and figures of certified technicians and other about 9 or actually to 15,000 people um, in terms of master's programs, um, offline learning programs and training programs. So the target audience of our projects could be none other than, above all, the rural producers and farmers, but also it does involve several other key players, such as the leaderships and social production organizations, the technical support institutes that will be trained. So the legacy for once the project is done, the technicians, the researchers, the study and research institutions, the schools, and we're also going to have actions with high schools and elementary schools, students across different levels of higher and lower education, and government officials as well. So we have a huge range of actors here who will definitely make a difference in putting everything that we have produced into practice. So very briefly, we have several different actions. So we try to group them in terms of the training activities, green finance. We have a training program on the 14th of December when we will launch some key initiatives, as is the case of a professional master's degree with the Federal University of Lavras. We have a distance learning or e-learning with Canal Futura of Fundação Alberto Marinho. We're also going to launch a facility for about 4,000 students who will be trained across 2 different editions of this program. In terms of green finance, we're going to look for into supporting and encouraging rural producers to have access to credits, especially under guidance of the ABC Plus plan, but also there are other innovations in the pursuit of certifications, in the pursuit of strengthening associations and organizations to work towards benefiting group efforts and rural producers as well as, and they can also favor this set of actions coming from these organizations. And we have the field work, of course, which might be the key actions here. We suggest offering technical support and rural extension programs to 4,000 or over 4,000 producers, either of multiplying agencies or development units. Of course, the multiplying units for implementation and qualification of the technology, but development units, we want to look for the certification pilots to make sure this is ever the more sustainable, as there already are references in all this. We have already started doing this. We're in the first round of this process of the field work, but there are about 700 days of field work in the next 2 years, bringing in several rural producers, researchers, and students. And when it comes to research, I have to mention, of course, Renato and Marcela will go into further detail, but we're really looking into research as one of the leading priorities of our project, and understanding how important it is to generate knowledge, not only in terms of what the project expects to do, but generating knowledge, innovation, and development is key for everything that the government intends to do. So all of these challenges we have to tackle in terms of promoting low carbon agriculture and sustainable agriculture. And as Mariani mentioned, integrating soil, water, which is a much broader concept of sustainability. Perhaps this is the greatest driver of all our researches. There are several research initiatives, all of which are very interesting. And of course, I'm not going to give you any spoilers. Marcelo and Renato will mention this, but we have another 2 days ahead of us, providing further detail and making sure that this integration happen in terms of all of these researchers and group of researchers that we have organized and set up within the scope of the Cerrado. So in terms of next steps, we have to, very quickly go over this. Marina mentioned we will launch the training program on December 14th. I would like to invite you all at the same time when we'll have the launch of the training program initiatives, some of which will already begin now in the end of 2021. We will select the technical support programs. We want to offer technical support in early 2020 in the demonstrative units and also the collective benefits initiatives with these organizations. We want to organize business plans focused on sustainability, not in terms individually in terms of each producer, but in terms of the producers collectively, to make sure that sustainability and marketing of their products is duly addressed and across all actions that we want to promote. So just in conclusion, I would like to thank everyone who is part of this project and who makes this project happen. I would really like to thank the researchers for joining us today. There are several institutions involved, and for us to, this is definitely a different project. Research is key and a priority within an execution project. Very few projects are based on such strong research, and this research will definitely play a key role because it's focused not only on the project, but it will support of all of programs of ABC Plus and other public policies that will be key to ensure our agriculture is more sustainable and low carbon. So thank you so much, Lucas. And now I would like to offer the floor back to you. Thank you so much, Tadeu. Moving forward with our presentations today to discuss the research reports of PRS Cerrado, I would like to bring in Mr. Renato Rodrigues. He's the scientific head of the project. I would like to welcome Renato. Welcome everyone. It is a great pleasure to be with you today with these research integration seminar. I would also like to greet everyone who has taken the floor before me. It's great to join you. So this institutional arrangement of the Sustainable Rural Project Cerrado, including research components that we're going to talk about in today's seminar, which is extremely interesting. And it is also key to mention this cooperation of Embrapa with the Sustainable Rural Project and everything that Tadeu mentioned that we tackle across other fronts, as it is highly connected to other issues too. So it's great because within the scope of our project, it is also tied to different public policies and to the programs of the Ministry of Agriculture, as Mariani and Kleber have brought earlier. So it's great to be part of all this. And we have definitely a lot of cooperation to work on within the scope of this research project. Lucas, could you please share my screen?
Apresentação. Então, obrigado. Então,
you.
a gente tem, né,
So, as mentioned, could you please move back to the first slide? We have an institutional framework which is quite special for this project, and I would like to thank the partnership with the UK government. It's a first-tier partner across several different projects, in addition to the rural nucleus, but we have several other partnerships with them, and this partnership is key. So I would like to publicly thank the UK government and the activities and the involvement of IBD, which since phase one, we've been working within the scope of this sustainable rural projects with the Amazon and Mata Atlântica, coordinated by Embrapa, and now phase two of this project, as Mariane has mentioned, is an evolution of phase one, and which also looks into the evolution of ABC to ABC plus. And of course, IABS was also part of phase one as project executor, and now they're part of phase two. And I would also like to mention the role played by the ILPF network in the form of an association and public-private partnership, which is part of this organizational framework. And as a scientific coordinator of the project, now please move on to the next slide. I have the great honor of acting as the technical and scientific coordinator of this project, but this is only a part of our project. I would not be able to do anything if it were not for the effective involvement of this amazing team that I have the great pleasure of working with. Marcela is going to take the floor after us as research coordinator, and she leads this amazing team comprised of the Natasha as the research and development notice manager, and we're going to talk a little bit about the different activities in terms of research. Directed research manager Gabriel Martins, which is a Embrapa project. Carla in administrative and financial department, Renato Marques in geoprocessing, Ana in executive support, José Alvaldo and Paula in administrative and financial support. So I would really, really like to thank everyone who's part of our team and for the amazing work that you have done. It's great to work with you. And I'm absolutely positive that we would have not been able to make this project happen at this level of quality if it were not for your work. So it's a great pleasure for me to be able to count on this team that really makes my life easier, and as well as the project execution, and as well as the life of all the researchers involved in this initiative. So this research and development project within the scope of the Sustainable Rural Project Cerrado, within the scope of the program, whose main objective is to promote knowledge and strengthen the knowledge of and teaching institutions, research and development, and researchers involved in issues that cover the adoption of low carbon technologies. So the connection with public policy that goes from ABC Plus, goes through the funding lines and credit lines, all the way to the rural producers. When it becomes the implemented technologies, I mean, there's a lot of research involved in this process, and we have to continue focusing on research in order to develop more sustainable, more productive production systems that allow for the producers to have a better quality of life, and to consider the environmental issue, the social issues into concern, and to strengthen the economic issues of that as well. So we're in constant pursuit of sustainability, and we often speak of carbon. And I would like to say that, because this is particular, my area in particular, and we talk about the GHG gases and so on and so forth, but behind there's a huge agenda in terms of other issues that are also quite important for research within the scope of production systems, as Mariane mentioned, the issue of water. And you will see in the next few days, there are several projects working on issues that oftentimes are not as directly focused on GHG emissions, but that are, or carbon, but are key for sustainability of the production system. So this project has three main components, which is to strengthen the local capacity in terms of low carbon agriculture, to promote low carbon issue technologies and sustainable practices, and to develop added value chains and access to the markets. So Mariane, I really like what you said, but once again, this connection this is key for the development of Brazilian agribusiness. So we're producing on increasingly more sustainable and intensive basis, using less land, generating and increasing our carbon stock. And this must be showcased as an added value to our products, right? We need a diversified market for this, or a different market for this. So this connection of research with technology, with public policy, with negotiation mechanisms or trading mechanisms rather, is quite important. So we work in general with science and technology within the scope of agriculture and livestock to develop low carbon systems, thereby generating environmental preservation, which we're focused on water and soil conservation. And this is one of the reasons for which the leadership is here part of Embrapa Soil, which is actually the units that I am part. And I would also like to thank Mr. Ademir Fontana, my work partner and great friend, who is the coordinator of the project executed by Embrapa. Is a huge challenge to take on this project. I mean, at the Embrapa project alone includes over 150 researchers across 16 research units. So coordinating all these efforts within the scope of the Embrapa system, I mean, the project has already been included within the Embrapa system. Everything is running well and smoothly. We also have substantial support from our research boards. Our director is here with us today. So such a big program as this one, as it is one of Embrapa's leading programs, we really need the supports and institutional framework, which helps us to make sure that food arrives at people's houses safely and securely, right? So when we work with agribusiness projects, we look at all the input that allows for the technology use to happen all the way to the end consumer, who will receive the product, or who will actually consume this product. So generating knowledge on sustainable rural production is definitely key for our project. And this, one of our leading objectives for the project, is to make sure we generate knowledge on an informal scientific basis, which requires very strong research productions in terms of papers published in international journals, and also in terms of producing knowledge that can be easily implemented and adopted by the rural producers. So we were working on these both fronts, right? On both of these fronts. I mean, there's no use in generating knowledge only and publish it in international or scientific journal if a rural producer doesn't have access to that knowledge. So we have to make sure that this knowledge comes to that. So in order to conclude and to move on to Marcela's speech, so we have two leading fronts or lines of action, a big project that we refer to as directed research, which is the project led by Embrapa, within which we have different sub-projects to facilitate your understanding within the 16 Embrapa units. And we're going to spend the next 2 days discussing these different projects. And we also have the projects within the scope of the notice, right? We opened the bidding process to contract projects coming from research institutions, universities, and nonprofits. So unfortunately, we weren't able to approve all of the projects because several projects did apply for this bidding process, but we managed to approve a significant number of projects, and we've made substantial investments in this sense, and several researchers and graduate and undergraduate students are working within the scope of these projects. So very briefly, this is what I had to say, and now I would like to offer the floor to Marcela to continue the presentation. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Renato, for the trust, for your trust, and for our team. It's a great pleasure and honor for me here representing our team and to join of you in such an important moment for our project in the opening of the PRS Cerrado research. Thank you all for being here. And as Renato has already mentioned, I'm Marcela Vidal and head of research here at PRS, and I want to talk about the research projects supported by our initiative. I'm going to begin my presentation with a framework on the researchers that have been supported by our initiative with an investment of about 13 million reais. And Cerrado has supported different 35 research projects and two different firsts, 13 of which are directed research, and the other ones are those coming from the bidding process. So let's discuss some of these activities, right? So the directed research, why do we refer to them as directed research? Because the purpose of this research is quite specific to address the main gaps in terms of current demands or knowledge and technologies that are supported for the project. So this research is priority for us to be able to achieve the leading targets for the project, as Renato and Tadeu have both mentioned. And in order to do so, we have a scientific partnership with 10 Embrapa units, as you can see there on this map. And these 13 researchers are conducted here. So the investments have been made both in research projects that have already been promoted, that are listed in those as an expansion research, and also for new research projects in order to promote the low carbon technologies and sustainable practices for production. The other line of action within the scope of the project are the researchers that have been part of our selection process, right? Parts of the bidding process. So we made this public call for research projects to attract new initiatives looking into sustainable production for agriculture. It was quite surprising to see how many projects were actually applied for this call, and we, after the process, we approved 22 research projects. And here in the map, you can see the different institutions that are behind these research projects and to which our partners are tied. So we have here Embrapa units, we have teaching and research institutions, agribusiness companies, we have technological research centers, and also nonprofits. All of these research projects generate knowledge on sustainable practices and contribute towards society and the community as a whole. So in terms of our timeline, right, and all of the processes that we've been through in order to arrive at the selection of a total of 35 projects that are supported by our program. So we first started in directed research, and in November 2019, we held the first workshop with Embrapa researchers. And it was obviously in person at the time. So we had a guest researchers to discuss their projects on the priority issues for us to look into. In December 2019, the researchers sent their proposals, which were under an assessment and selection process. Finally, in February 2020, we approved 13 research projects in terms of technical scientific development. And then in May 2020, we formalized the guiding document for directed research together with IBD to direct all of these research projects that were selected. Then we formalized our project with IABS Embrapa partnership. And in April 2021, we signed this partnership, and then we effectively began the partnership between with Embrapa. Now in December 2021, we have now 8 months into our development project, our research development project, and in which researchers have produced, published papers, they have produced reports on their activities, and we've also requested funds to further their research projects within the scope of our research monitoring and supervision process. In terms of our request for proposals, in 2021, we launched our RFP, and we opened the floor to receive different proposals all the way to March. And then June 21, we informed the proposals that were selected in the phase one. And then in July 2021, we opened the floor to receive, we made a call to receive new proposals for phase two. And then we did the selection process once again. And then finally in September, we confirmed and disclosed the proposals approved in phase two. And now in December 2021, right? This is where we're at. We're slightly over 2 months of the beginning of these RFP related projects, which some of which are still in the execution process of in terms of their contracts, but they're about to begin their different activities. In terms of the leading topics and issues of our research, in terms of directed research, we have 5 big topics. The first of which is Nexus MRV, or education, and they cover resource management in terms of water and energy. And in order to increase productivity and at the same time not to compromise food safety or water safety or energy safety. The second group is comprised of projects focused on production systems and on the URTPs, which are the so-called reference technological and research reference units of Embrapa, which is focused on monitoring and assessment of the technologies that have already been implemented and to develop other integration frameworks. So this group specifically provides great technical and scientific support for us to be able to achieve our low carbon agriculture targets. So we want to, and it also involves the greatest number of Embrapa units and a total of 7 units within the scope of this research and development group. The third one is the economic assessments group, which is focused on the special demonstrative units of the project. So this activity focused on the use of the different tools to support and to offer financial support for the producers and to ensure their understanding in terms of the economic issues of the implementation of the new technologies. The fourth group is IoT, Internet of Things, which consists in the use of smart sensors and software connected to the producer in order to ensure that technology gets to the rural producers, as has been mentioned earlier, which is definitely something that has been changing, and we have to make more investments in this technology to be made available for the rural producers. And the fifth group is the group of avoided deforestation. So the project estimates avoided deforestation based on the technologies that are implemented and also on the benefits generated within the scope of the Cerrado biome. In relation to the request for proposals and their projects, we have 33 research projects that were covered by the RFP and divided into 3 topics. The first one is technological innovation and market, well, actually market and technology innovation, which includes quality and production of the components of the system, the development of new products and sustainable production chains, and also the use of waste in production systems. The second topic, which is focused on sustainability in agriculture and livestock production, which is the one that we had the greatest number of proposals. And it also covers projects such as soil conservation, water conservation, and energy conservation, and to add value and product diversification in the ecosystem. The third and last topic within the scope of the RFPs is low carbon agriculture. So the projects that cover any GHG related projects, thermal comfort, livestock wellness, and within the scope of the integration system. And we also look at soil quality and recovery techniques for degraded areas as well. Here, the research in terms of numbers, we have a total of 35 research heads, 30 out of which 22 are come from the RFPs and 13 from directed research. 24 of these heads are male and 7 are female. In total, all of these researchers involves over 539 researchers from the different Embrapa units and technical teaching institutions and agribusiness companies and technological centers and nonprofits. We have already contracted 9 consultants and 11 grant students who already develop activities within the scope of the project, totaling 88 partner institutions, of which 85 are national institutions and 3 are international institutions. Within the scope of the 4 states on which the project was implemented, in terms of directed research, there are 6 in the state of Mato Grosso, 7 in the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, 5 in the state of Minas Gerais, and 7 in the state of Goiás. In turn, in terms of the projects coming from the RFP, there are 6 in Mato Grosso, 4, in Mato Grosso do Sul, 6 in Minas Gerais, and 6 in the state of Goiás. When you add up all of these numbers per state, it seems that the number is greater than the actual total of the research. It's because there are certain research projects that are whose activities are developed across more than one state, as is the case of the economic assessment research project. As it is developed across all 4 states, it is accounted for once in each state. Also, if you want to find out more about the different research projects, today we're launching 2 very interesting publications. If you're interested, the first one is the book with these actions for research and development within the scope of the Sustainable Rural Project of the Cerrado. This material is everything that we've mentioned thus far is available in this material, from the selection process all the way to the methodology used to select a lot of these projects, and a summary of all the 35 different proposals, okay? So we have basic information as well, and such as the researchers involved, the investments made in each project, and this is available in this book, which is available and this link that will maybe be available to you here on YouTube, at our website as well. And our big release that we have today is our interactive map, which is also available at our website under research. And you'll see this image of the map of Brazil. And within the scope of the 4 states, you will find specific information on the institutions involved and the research topics developed in each one of these areas. So here on the right-hand corner, you have an access to an interactive map, which will lead you to an area with a different image, right? And you can go ahead and click on that, please. Once again, please. And then, as you can see, you'll have access to the information about each one of the research projects, with a link to the institution on the map as well. So you have access to information, for instance, the technical summary of each research project, the researchers involved, the results, products of the research, the resources invested, and this map will be constantly updated based on the reports submitted by the respective researchers. So maybe if a new paper was published, we will make sure we include it in the interactive map. Whatever new information we have will be uploaded into this map to make sure that everyone has access to everything that was produced within the scope of that given research project.
Então, para finalizar, eu gostaria de falar pouco
So
sobre
to
o nosso
close, I would like to talk about the research integration seminar and how we have organized ourselves for the next 2 days with all of the researchers involved. So this event, a more simple or accessible language to the research, right? To move away from academic jargon, for example, to make sure that we promote debates and discussions with our partners and institutional players. So we have the 5 big topics for debate and discussion of Nexus, economic assessment, the URTPs, which have also to do with the production systems, professional and technical improvement, Internet of Things, and avoided deforestation. In terms of next actions and events, our schedule includes promoting annual seminars within the scope of the project. This is the first seminar that we're going to we're going to hold, but there's going to be other ones that we're going to discuss the different results of everything that's being generated thanks to this research project. We also have workshops and interactive workshops with the researchers. In the first semester of 2022, we want to organize a scientific journey with scholarship students and consultants, as well as other events developed by the project as a whole. So, for example, to make sure that we can bring in as many researchers as possible. So this is what I had to say. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope I was able to help clarify everything that we have done in terms of our project. Thanks a lot to the dedication and professionalism of our team. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us by email. I've made it available to you on the chat. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marcela. And so this is the official opening ceremony of our research integration seminar for the Sustainable Rural Project of the Cerrado. Thanks to the great news that Marcela has also shared with us, the interactive map, which is already online. Enjoy, as well as the book, whose link I've already made available here on the chats. And if you're also with us on the social media accounts, all of this information has been made available to you. And in addition to the timeline for the next year, we've seen the great news that we will be able to share with you in the next 2 days, when we will bring in our different researchers to promote the discussions and debates to forward further our works and research projects. So I would like to thank everyone who has joined us today for this opening ceremony in the scope of the research integration program for the Sustainable Rural Projects, especially to the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Supply, to IABS, to the UK government, to the ILPF Association, as well as to Embrapa. I would like to thank you all. So this event was organized by IABS, and this is it for today. Please follow us on social media for further information. We'll be back together on December 14th to launch the training program for the Sustainable Rural Project of the Cerrado. So make sure you add that date, save the dates in your schedules, and we'll see you here too. So I would like to put us for us to be in gallery mode. I would like to ask you all to join us so you can greet our YouTube audience, and see you soon, everyone. If you could send a shout out to the YouTube audience. See you next time. Thank you, everyone. This is it. Feel free